Hey guys, and welcome back to Exit Music for a Film, podcast breaking down some of Hollywood's most recent theatrical releases. I'm your host, Ken Perry, and with me today, the Orson Welles to my Herman J. Mankiewicz, and your brand new Exit Music for a Film official co-host, Phil Bittner. What's up, Phil?
What's up? I wasn't sure what to expect there if I was introducing myself or waiting for you. There was a pause there where I was really lost.
Oh, I got you. Welcome to the show, and welcome aboard as the official co-host, man.
It's good to be here. I've been waiting my whole life for this moment.
I know you have.
Oh,
You don't gotta tell me.
oh your
All
camera's
right.
gone.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's fine.
Phil, you cannot capture a man's entire life in 2 hours. All you can hope is to leave an impression of one. Today's episode, Mank. 1930s Hollywood is reevaluated through the eyes of scathing social critic and alcoholic screenwriter Herman J. Mankiewicz as he races to finish the screenplay to Citizen Kane. Personally, I thought this was a solid film, all in all. It was an interesting look at one of the major controversies of Hollywood's first century.
Booty.
Yes, your dog agrees with me.
Yeah.
I love the fast-paced scenes, and it just related to a fast-paced industry. Phil, what are your overall thoughts of Mank?
I actually was kind of jealous of my dog sleeping through the movie. I think it's a really well done movie, and a lot like the classic films that it was kind of trying to pull back the curtain on a little. I thought as well done and as good as it is, I just didn't really enjoy spending 2 hours of my weekend watching it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Hey, we can't love every we watch and review here.
yeah, I don't know.
So,
I just feel like it's something where you kind of have to be, like, wanting to learn about Herman Mankiewicz to enjoy the movie, and that was never really something I ever would have considered learning about.
right, absolutely. Not everyone's a fucking Hollywood historian, right?
Yeah.
No matter how much you love films in Hollywood, not everyone is gonna deep dive that much. So, but hey, it was an interesting movie, and it's been something that's been on the board coming out, and one I've been waiting for it to come out since the initial at first when it was initially announced it was gonna
Yeah, the
be
green lighting.
dropping soon. Yeah, once it got the green light. So, opening up here, I have to say the first thing that I noticed about the film was how it didn't feel like it didn't look like a black and white movie made in 2020. This had a genuine, look and feel of an old Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
The film had the physical film had cigarette burns and scratches on it. Give it a more natural aged feeling, as if it was pulled from the archives, I guess. And just in general, I bought that I was watching a film from the 30s or 40s after about a half hour, and I kind of let my guard down.
Actually,
Yeah,
for
for the
about
most part, I feel like they did a good job making it feel like it was an old-timey, 30s, 40s picture.
Yeah, I had a friend stop by for about a half hour of me watching it, and he thought that I was watching like 1920s movies just sitting around my house.
Nice.
Till he recognized Gary Oldman and Amanda Seyfried. But yeah, it
Yeah.
like I said, yeah, there's a lot just like that. Like, as much as I didn't enjoy it, I can't, like, I'm not gonna say I don't really have anything too bad to say about it other than I didn't like it. It's a really well made movie. I have to give it that credit.
The respect's there for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, they did a really good job. I always like when movies add like the film burn or just any of the little traditional. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but just those little touches that give it that extra,
Yeah,
the little details that give it that old film feeling.
yeah, absolutely. I didn't know the cigarette burns until I read about the movie, but that's interesting how they do that way. The first little bubble that came up, I was like, oh shit, how did they, really do that? I'm not much for the technical aspects of.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
actually, I knew it was burns. I didn't know that those were cigarette burns.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So regarding the history of the film, Mank, so the screenplay, I don't know if you know this. The screenplay was originally written by David Fincher's late father, Jack Fincher.
I
Um,
did see that because I was actually confused as it was starting up, and I saw Jack
oh,
Fincher,
right.
and I wondered if I was thinking of a different guy or if I've been calling Jack Fincher David Fincher for years.
Right. So yeah, he wanted to make it back in the late '90s. This was supposed to come out after his movie The Game, and he actually was planning to cast Kevin Spacey as Mank and Jodie Foster as the Marion Davies role that Amanda Seyfried did. But apparently he couldn't get. I guess I assume the problem was he couldn't get the financing in order to make the movie. He wasn't quite David Fincher yet. At this point in time, he would have had Alien 3, 7, and The Game under his belt. So he wasn't the esteemed and extremely respected David Fincher at that point.
Yeah.
So he shelved the project, and he yeah.
Yeah, well, the plus side, if that original would have happened with Kevin Spacey, is I wouldn't have had to be watching this movie with my weekend in 2020.
Wouldn't have aged too well, right? Yeah,
Yeah, we probably would have skipped it if it had been made back then. So there's that plus. Yeah, I did
absolutely.
see the Jack Fincher thing. I actually kind of wondered about that. I didn't know if like Jack was his brother or anything. I've seen plenty of David Fincher movies. Actually, I'm looking through. I didn't know he even did Alien 3.
Yeah, it
But
was his first movie. I figured you're gonna start slobbering when I said Alien 3.
that is
Figured it was coming.
actually my least favorite of anything alien, including like Prometheus.
Yeah, I
And
hear it's pretty bad. I just watched Prometheus for the first time. Loved it. I really did.
I thought
Um,
Prometheus was okay. I
yeah, I really enjoyed it. So anyways, yeah, so he shelved this for 20 years, and the fact that he comes back almost 20 years later to his late father's screenplay to make this happen, it must have been quite a personal project. I feel like to him because at this point in time, he could pretty much make anything he wants and focus his time as he wishes at this point in his career. So I think that's not only nice that he honored his father, I guess that way, but it seems like it was an important thing for him to accomplish in his career.
yeah, that's really not surprising for me to hear that about this movie because of how much care was put into things like we said about. I mean, for one, just any period piece in general is gonna take a lot of work, a lot of attention to detail. But then, yeah, even just the touches to make it seem more like an old film doesn't really surprise me to hear that this was like a lifelong passion thing of his.
Yeah, absolutely a passion project. Very cool. So now I'd like to get into the actual character, the man, Herman J. Mankiewicz. First and foremost, even in the synopsis, as I said, Mank's, a drunk. It seems like he might be over the hill. We can't really tell at this point in time whether at the opening of the movie when he, gets to Victorville and he's laying around in bed. We don't know if he's just an alcoholic or if he is at that point in his career where he's kind of deemed over the hill or not. He's as we see when he's hanging around at the studios, he's a degenerate gambler. He'll gamble on pretty much almost anything. Um, we're told he seems somewhat that he's a womanizer. We don't really see much of a direct proof of that, but his wife mentions various affairs he's had over the years on her. But then at the same time, I thought it was interesting that with all that, at the same time, Mank is a genuinely good person. It seems like seems to be a first thing that came to my mind. Seems like he was a man of the people. He showed a lot of empathy. It's mentioned that he first thing I noticed I wrote written down was he helped his maid's whole town escape from Nazi occupied Germany. She says at one
Yeah,
point to his transcriber, and
yeah.
then he helps that kind of bum actor down on his luck. He doesn't have a dollar, but he makes
He
the
makes the guard give him $1.
exactly. Yeah, I love that movie. The movie just throughout it is subtly really funny, like that.
Yeah, well, and then
And
when
he
he
would
asks
give
him for
money
the
to
second
the
cigarette and he just turns his pockets inside out and looks at him, it had its
yeah,
moments. Yeah,
yeah,
I
just real subtle, quick things like that, like when they're driving and stuff. Yeah. He shows respect for the good people in the industry of the film industry. I feel like um, he's respectful to his transcriber the whole time. The lady that's helping him physically write Citizen Kane. She's never like snippy or shitty to her really at all. And then his the few times he meets with Marion Davies and everything, he's always very like a very upstanding dude. He's never just like a piece of shit or like a scumbag to women or anything we don't really see.
yeah, I
He's a big.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I really
No,
liked his relationship with Marion Davies, even though I think I missed something and I was a little bit confused by it.
right. Yeah, and he's he's voting Democrat. He's a big Upton St. Clair supporter. He's a socialist turned Democrat, and he's just against like going hand in hand with MGM's doing all the unethical practices. I feel like Meng could see kind of the bigger picture and hopes for a better future, not for just the top top like 10% or whatever, but for all the people. I think he has hopes even beyond his career, and in Hollywood he has hopes for a better future for just I guess the nation as a whole. We find he's the head of Paramount screenwriting department from like the late 20s into the 30s. So he seems to be in a place of somewhat would some people would seem and deem that he has power, but he at the same time rejects power and corruption, not only in Hollywood but within the world of politics too.
Yeah, actually, because I had watched Citizen Kane to prepare for this episode too, there's a lot of there's kind of a lot of Mank in Charlie Kane, the character in Citizen Kane. From what I
Yeah,
saw, I there a lot of I don't know. I mean, all the political stuff. It's obviously not a surprise to see that he was also pretty into politics. But I just feel like
right.
there's a lot where you can kind of see how it shaped what happened in Citizen Kane too.
Yeah, of course, that makes total sense. Him writing the script, taking obviously from real life, it's almost impossible not to at that time. I would assume.
Well,
It's
and
good you
one
watched Kane just
example is
recently.
when Orson Welles trashes his house, and his reaction is that that needs to happen. And it's funny because that scene of Citizen Kane made me crack up when his wife leaves. He just destroys the room for like 3 minutes until he notices all the help are watching.
Oh, that's right. Oh, wow. Good
So
call.
I got a pretty good kick out of that scene when Orson Welles starts throwing shit around and he's like, "That's what we need."
Yeah, I really like the Orson Welles actor. That he did a solid job. I was surprised he was in it as small amount that he was, but we'll certainly get to the performances later down the line. Next, I just wanted to talk about like the environment and the setting of the film. Let me just say first and foremost, I'm a complete sucker for any movies that are just about the filmmaking industry and process and Hollywood as a whole. Any if we have any listeners at this point, they will know since last year it was just basically throughout the year was just a love fest for me for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Um, so yeah, I'm just a complete sucker. I'm just always just extremely interested in movies and movies about Hollywood.
Yeah, maybe some foot shots would have saved this movie.
Yeah, right. They were so just in your face. I love that he was just like, "Hey, fuck you, man. Yeah, this is what I'm into. What are you gonna do about it? It's right here."
Yeah,
It has never been more just in your face and prominent.
yeah, this movie could
Ugh.
have used like someone having their face completely smashed in on a mantle and a flamethrower. I would have found this
They,
movie a lot more entertaining to watch.
they should have just threw Cliff Booth in this movie. I think
Yeah.
he should have been there. He could have been Mank's driver. So yeah, Mank, like Herman Mankiewicz was, directly influenced by the status of Hollywood and its politics at the time. What MGM was doing, anything to make a profit for them, it was 100% profit over people. It showed. The movie showed us Hollywood from 1929 to 1930 through the eye of politics. It was election time. It was midterm um, in California. It seemed like not to get too deep into this shit. Because I am not, believe it or not, Phil, I'm not a huge expert on the midterm of 1929, 1930 in California. But it seemed like the Democrats wanted to try something new. Republicans wanted to preserve the country. Heavy fear socialism. Socialism was like the boogeyman in this movie. Um,
Yeah.
Frank Merriam, who apparently was a big fucking asshole Republican against Upton St. Clair, the socialist turned Democrat. And then you just see just how scared everyone was, the xenophobia, the invading hobos, that everyone was so scared of socialism coming to take, California and the nation as a whole. MGM put on those. They gave the go ahead on those. I don't know if you caught it. There was ending poverty in California radio spots that he heard on the radio, and he like looked twice. It was an actress that he recognized. It was an actress's voice.
Mm-hmm.
So there, yeah. And then just with the pay cuts to all like you saw that scene with MGM where they're talking about pay cuts to everyone across the board, and they were taking pay cuts from like technical workers, like grips and lighting people, and everyone that involved in this studio that aren't the big wigs, and it was just a straight up lie that was an across the board cut.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw how fucked up Mank thought that was, and he basically came out and said it to Louis Mayer or whoever it is at MGM. With FDR closing the banks, there was just a lot of like fucked up shit going on. It seemed like not only in the industry, but this was on the grips of the Great Depression. It was the nation as a whole, just everything was going bad.
It's
But
fortunately all been sorted out and nothing fucked up happens in Hollywood anymore. So at
right,
least we
yeah,
have that.
those days are behind us. But more interestingly, just as you were saying, the movie showed a true look at the politics of the first few decades of the industry, the trends, and it seemed like whatever made money was going to get made at that time. Studios and their strategies. There's a hard time financially for Hollywood and the industry as a whole. Um, I love the scenes on the actual sets of the movies. Like as Mank would walk through various movie sets, I thought that was a great part of the film. He'd walk by like a war scene, then there were like
Mm-hmm.
zoo animals on the premise, and then I really liked his. He was just having like a talk with a woman being burned at the stake. I
Yeah.
don't think that was Marion Davies. I think that was another actress or whatever. There's so many just like I don't know who's getting these references, but a couple old Hollywood podcasts I listen to, they're calling out like every person in the movie as an important old you know person at that time in Hollywood. I mean, it
I
seems like
tried at
Fincher.
one point, but it yeah.
he did his due diligence. He really got all the heavy hitters involved and whatnot, and yeah. But I liked how he would just all these scenes were so prominent, and he would just walk by all these sets on active sets of people making movies as he was all hungover and whatnot.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, his drinking throughout the movie led to quite a few pretty funny moments.
Yeah, definitely.
He was definitely hungover or drunk for like the entire thing.
Yeah, most of it, if not all. So now, with all the politics talk, this isn't certainly not a big politics podcast, but it would be impossible to talk about this movie without the without highlighting the various parallels the movie showed from 1930 to present day 2020.
Oh, are
Obviously the
people
first
treating
one.
socialism like a boogeyman again?
That's right.
Is that
That's
something
right.
that
I don't know
happens
what's going
now?
on in Iowa, but that's what's going on here.
Yeah.
Number one, obviously, is the politics. You heard him say, "Don't forget to vote." Does that sound familiar? In 2020,
Mm-hmm.
he's telling people, "Don't forget to vote." The politics, like the party scene, everyone for Frank Miriam, the "Preserve the Country" slogan sounded a little MAGA-y to me. The huge fear of socialism, the fake ads put on by that MGM helped with. That's kind of like on Film Spotting. They mentioned those fake ads that were being put on. That's kind of like Twitter bots today
Yeah.
in a way, and just like the deviancy of some of the shit that was being pulled off. By not to show my hand as a voter, but the deviancy that was going on by a certain party. It was a lot.
Yeah. Okay, but I
Just a
actually
lot of
thought the thing about the I thought that the thing about the fake him saying that the fake film reels cost him in the election had to do like if hypothetically there were a candidate that kept claiming that everything was fake and that was what was costing him in office.
couldn't imagine,
Yeah.
right?
I
Thankfully,
don't
this is
know.
just a movie. Thankfully, it's just a movie, and nothing like that would ever, really happen.
No.
There's just a lot of heated debates and a lot of, what am I looking for? Just a lot of tenseness throughout, and with any party scene where there's arguments between. He was not quite on his own, but he was definitely in the minority, going for the Democratic, the Democratic candidate there, or I guess we should call him the socialist candidate.
Yeah.
Um, it has to be highlighted, but the oh man, the Hitler talk. That, what can I say, man? That reminded
Yeah.
me of Trump. Not taking Hitler seriously. Hitler Schmittler. He said, "What's next?" The manipulation of film that made me laugh so hard. And how just they didn't take that shit seriously. They thought it was a complete joke that he could ever, gain so much power until it was too late. That was a crazy scene to watch.
Yeah, there was definitely some uncomfortable moments via Adolf Hitler throughout the movie. That whole scene was just so awkward.
That was
Someone said
wild. Yeah,
something like 40 million Germans can't be wrong or something, or
yeah, man.
like
That
the
yeah,
Germans are good people. He won't be there long.
it was upsetting to see. And who does that? Who the fuck does that sound like? Not the harp. And again, I don't want to get into this shit, but yeah, seriously. Um, Third thing I wrote was the uncertain future of the film industry. I mean, look where we are now. Um, we had one of the characters said we got to get people into the theater. And they had suggestions of showing movies in the streets, and that just reminded me of all the out of the box ideas and strategies in 2020 that theaters and entertainers are doing to make money, whether it be dumps onto these streaming services, the highlighting and bringing back drive-in theaters. Just there's got to be creative in 2020 if you're in this industry to hold. If hopefully your job's still intact. But it's obviously a very uncertain time. in Hollywood right now, once again, as it was here on the following the, or I guess in the midst of the Great Depression. If this is no, this is in the 30s at this point. There's a lot of jumping around, obviously, with flashbacks and whatnot. So I'll say following, at this point in these scenes, they were following the Great Depression. So these things go in cycles a lot, but this is one of the most uncertain times in this industry, and parallels. What a time for this movie to come out with these tropes that are it, I don't know how much he changed in order to have it resemble 2020 or these parallels, but I don't think too much, but it
Yeah,
was
that was
just a
kind of
great
what I
time.
was thinking. Is I don't know how much of it is intentional and how much of it is, just
Happenstance.
yeah, just the timing. Just like it is great timing as far as all that, but kind of seems like this movie had to have been mostly, you know, at least written before all that.
Yeah, it was absolutely written. I'd be interested to find that out. And I like to think that it hasn't been you know messed with too much at this point, and it's just I hate to say a lucky time for this to come up, but just an interesting time,
Yeah,
for lack of a better word. Um, yeah, so that I have to say that's certainly upon viewing, this was the most interesting part of Mank to me, were just the various parallels. One of the characters I highlighted a quote: "Our dream factory is in eminent financial difficulties," was said by, I believe, Louis Mayer of MGM. Um, and then the last one I have here, and this could just even be for Citizen Kane as well. I mean, I hate to leave it at Hitler reminding me of Trump, but if anyone reminds you of Trump, it's got to be William Randolph Hearst, right? I mean, the movie that the person that Kane was based off of. He was like a newspaper tycoon businessman. Uh, he inherited that from his father. I see that there was a lot of sensationalism. He liked they called it yellow journalism back in the day, which basically was a lot of hyperbole. He liked to get people, excited and hyped up over things, and kind of get the people um, all up in arms. A lot of time about certain agendas he might have been you know favoring and whatnot. But he was just a tycoon, and if anyone reminds me of Trump, it's going to be William Randolph Hearst and
yeah,
Hitler.
yeah. Uh,
That was
Except I don't know to the same extent. I mean, also Kane was a lot more like man of the people ish in his actions outside of his political career.
absolutely.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
hate
I
to
mean, honestly, I didn't even really think too much about the connections between then and now until you said it. So that's why I kind of just periodically have one come to me.
right. It's very, very interesting. Hate to sully the name of a fake person by comparing them to Donald Trump, though.
Yeah, that was, I was just like, because
Well, no,
I
not
liked
William
Charlie
Randolph
Kane.
Hearst, but hey, Charlie Kane, not William Randolph Hearst. Him too.
Oh yeah, yeah,
R.I.P.
but
So, anyways, that brings me to this actual script for Citizen Kane. So, Kane or Mank based Kane off William Randall Hearst, who was a businessman, newspaper publisher for Hearst Communications, which was the nation's largest newspaper chain. And then later, down the line, of course, as these things tend to go, he got into politics. He wormed his way into politics, I guess. So something that I guess I get it, but something about the movie that confuses me and just the story in general is that everyone believed Mank was, going after William Randall Hearst by writing this, making this movie, and I guess that had to do with his political affiliations and his kind of just renegade like attitude-ish. I guess I don't know. I guess there was a fear that he was going to judge William Randall Hearst for his actions, his life, his accomplishments. various people warned him against it. His brother Joe Mankiewicz, Marion Davies, but Mank goes against that authority, as it seems like is kind of as he tends to do. I guess it seems like I said, he kind of goes against the top. He doesn't feel in line with the Republican Party at that time, which I assume William Randolph Hearst was on board with. I think just the renegade nature and attitude Mank had kind of got people up in arms and scared that he was gonna, I guess make it worse than he was gonna drag his name through the mud or something. And Marion Davies even says at their last meeting is, "Don't kick him while he's down." I don't know if he was secretly broke at the end of his life or something, but it was weird to me that everyone just automatically assumed. I guess I don't know if that comes with just his character, that they thought he was basically just gonna drag his name through the mud or what.
Yeah, he that was one of the part. There was so much of this movie that I was just lost in. God damn it! I didn't even realize one of the cats was in here. That was one of the parts where like there was times where I got kind of lost, but I
Right.
caught on that I did catch the fact that there were people concerned. It's one of like the first scenes is someone warns him like they're gonna see him or some like that everyone's gonna know who it's about.
Right. Yeah, yeah. There wasn't no skepticism about who this was about really at that time.
Yeah, everyone was
Yeah.
pretty. Yeah, I guess I don't know, man. I really struggled getting through this one. There was a lot of parts where I just didn't pick up exactly what they were doing, or like scenes that I kind of didn't get why they were important.
Yep.
I just struggled so much with this movie. I
Sorry
actually
to give
now
you
that
such
I didn't
kind of.
realize until you said the thing about the whole when they were on a movie set and there was the giraffes and stuff. That whole scene, I was confused, wondering how they got into a zoo at night.
And then there was the scene also there's multiple scenes with the zoo animals when they were at Hearst Castle or whatever too, when he was initially talking to Marion Davies when they snuck away at the party. There was like that zoo that resembled Charlie Kane's home in the movie. Um, and then I liked at their final scene together, Mank and Marion Davies said, "I hope if this gets made, you'll forgive me, and if it doesn't, I hope you'll forgive me." Um, I liked just their relationship was pretty cool. They seemed to develop a respect and admiration for each other. Um, I like that relationship between the two.
See, that
There
was
was a
one where I couldn't tell if that was because then his wife yelled at him. Uh, the scene where she told it, like, said all the things that she deals with and how he owes her before she left the house.
right.
She said something about platonic affairs, and that
Yeah.
was kind. I took that as Marion Davies. I actually kind of thought that might have influenced his last wife, the wife that he built Xanadu, that Charlie Kane did in the movie. I actually kind of took that as I thought they were showing that like Marion Davies was the inspiration for that kind of part of the story.
Yeah, definitely. That's absolutely true. That's another you can barely deny that as well. I wonder if
All right, I
as
got one
this is
right.
diving deep, but like I wonder if he was in a way in love with Marion Davies, and
That was what
you
I
know
got out of it, but
yeah,
I,
I
I
think he was getting there for sure.
yeah.
She was like a child wife of William Randall Hearst. Someone said, and I liked it, said of her character, of the Marion Davies character, she seemed like almost trapped, but she didn't know it yet. Kind of. I found that to be, interesting.
Yeah.
So so Mank finally decides he wants, moving on to kind of towards the end of the film. Mank finally decides that he does want his credit for writing the script. Um, he's told. I don't know if there's anyone else that tells him. I can't remember, but I know his kid brother Joe. tells him it's the best thing he's ever written, and you could tell he knows it himself that it's absolutely the best thing he's ever written. Walsh becomes upset, as you as you mentioned. So it brings us to the big question of the film was what was the situation here? Was he hired to write a first draft, a rough copy? Was it a team effort? What's going on? Here that's just it's the big debate of the film. Um, I noted Raising Cain here. Did you hear about that?
No.
You ever hear about Raising Cain? Uh, Writer Pauline Kael basically just I don't know. I can look it up, but years and years ago, she just I guess this is what the movie's based off of is Raising Cain, which is just this like 200-page like essay just about how Mank got fucked out of the credit and Orson Welles just took the credit and he did actually nothing. But Pauline Kael got a lot of blowback from this because she had nothing to back this up. She just took this out here, took a chance to take like huge shots at Orson Welles, who's one of the most respected, directors and creators in Hollywood's first century and even today. But yeah, this big essay Raising Cain, which has no like I guess scholastical merit or whatever, got a lot of blowback. But it's a very well known and it's a well-known piece, and just it's a it's within the story. It's made itself a part of this whole narrative, but for like the wrong reasons.
Yeah. I never really knew that there was controversy really altogether around Citizen Kane. Uh,
Right. Yeah. So there's just various reports
it
that like for example we like I heard on a podcast about Ming too that there's various reports that his 200-page script that wasn't the actual shooting script. So it's just like it confuses me as what were we doing here? Was this supposed to be a team effort and tensions rose? Was this was Mank supposed to write this and kind of Orson Welles was supposed to get the credit and maybe a little bit more money was dished out for his services? Was he maybe he made a shitty deal while he was at the worst of his alcoholism? That's the mystery, and the debate lives on. So that's certainly along with the parallels, an extremely interesting aspect, and I guess it's the whole whole part of this. Um, I don't think the thing about it though is I don't think Fincher was trying to sway opinions, away from Orson Welles. I don't think Orson Welles was made to look bad in any way in this movie, and apparently people were coming at Fincher on Twitter for um, this taking credit away from Orson Welles or trying to at least. I think this didn't make him look really bad at all. It highlighted the controversy and simply brought the debate to people such as you know yourself and even myself. Just we didn't know really much about this in great detail, so it just kind of unburied the debate for future generations, I guess. So I don't think they were really going. They weren't really trying to take any credit away from anyone. It just highlighted the debate again, and because just for the simple fact that it's interesting, man. It's said to be the greatest movie of all time, and it's certainly up there. So for there to be such a crazy debate over one of the biggest movies of all time, I mean that should be known, I guess, for film auteurs.
Yeah, the only way that I think Orson Welles was like portrayed in a negative light is just in the sense that he was arguing with the guy who is the protagonist of the movie, but they didn't
Yeah,
really. You could say that and so that does like kind of in that lens he is at times kind of an antagonistic character, but I mean they never pretended that Mank was a perfect person either, and that you're somehow inherently antagonistic just by disagreeing with him. So yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I think there's parts where maybe he comes off as the bad guy just because of who he's not the guy the movie's about.
Yeah, and he's
But
abrasive and
yeah, yeah, and he's throwing stuff when he gets into arguments apparently.
I
But
throw shit, doesn't mean I'm wrong or right.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think they really. I didn't think they like sewered him or anything. I don't know.
No,
I didn't know that that was a. I haven't really. I didn't hear much about this movie until you said we were watching it.
right. Yeah, so I like that your cousin Sal said this was like a real life episode of the podcast. You must remember this. It was like you must remember this in film form. Shout out to oh shit, what's her name from You Must Remember This?
I
I
don't think
forget.
I've heard that
Have
one.
you ever? Have you haven't heard that? So
No.
it's just basically it's a podcast that touches on just the controversies and mysteries of um, Hollywood's first century, those first 100 years of Hollywood. It's it's awesome for someone interested in the history of Hollywood like this, and it's right up their alley. They did a short little when this was announced. They did a short little thing on it actually, and it goes like season by season, so it'll uncover like a mystery or something over time. Oh, I wish I could. I wish Carolina. Oh no, that's Carolina Hidalgo. I'm thinking of.
I was gonna say,
Uh,
does she have another one?
yeah, right. Oh man, I wish I could think of her name. She's good. It's just her, and she just tells the story, and it's really cool. She did a Charles Manson's Hollywood, and it should have won a fucking whatever the awards are for podcasts. It should have won it.
The Webbies.
Yeah, I guess so. If you're gonna check out any of them, that's so good. Like I'm super into all that shit. I thought I knew everything there was to know about that whole story, but it was like it's like a 7-part series or something, and I learned a lot more. And if you're into it, but it goes into pretty fucked up detail about the night of the murders and everything. But Karina Longworth is her name. Shout out to Karina Longworth. We love you. Come on the show. But yeah, man, it's just a great
Maybe by then
podcast.
I'll have heard her podcast.
Right, it's worth checking out. Yeah, but this movie is it's on the same block as that podcast. It was like a real life episode, and I thought that was a great commentary by Sal. I wrote down the quote. My favorite quote from the film was Mank says, I built him a watertight narrative and a suggested destination. Where he takes it, that's his job. That was the best, if you want to sum up this movie in one sentence or quote, that there it is.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
fair.
speaking of scene, what would you say is like your favorite scene or scenes that stood out to you?
Um, I think my favorite scene was him towards the end, crashing the dinner party, hammered, drunk, going on his impassioned rant, and then just throwing up on the floor in front of everyone.
Oh man,
I'd say that had to be it.
that one hit home, huh?
Yeah.
Close to home.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah. I love the zoo scene when him and Marion Davies are exploring the Hearst Castle, like I said during that first party, and then the second Miriam Davies talk where he says, if this gets made, I'm sorry. Basically, I hope you'll forgive me. And we see like the sadness of Miriam Davies, where I said before that it's like she's trapped and doesn't know it or whatever, but she says, and I kind of believe that she genuinely does love him, William Randolph Hearst at that point. She married him for the wrong reasons, obviously, but she's grown to love him, which I mean, I kind of see and believe, and maybe Mank's not too happy about that, but yes, Amanda Seyfried did a great job. I like the final talk with his kid brother Joe a lot. Sidebar: I did not realize Joe Mankiewicz was we see in the movie he's like kind of a one of the initiators of SAG. I didn't know SAG went back that far. That was interesting to see.
Yeah.
And just Joe saying this is the best thing he ever written. You could tell he like admires his older brother for he warns him about going after Hearst as well. But you see that he admires his brother for the talent and just being brave and fighting for what he kind of believes in and not giving into the fear of consequence. I love that a lot. And then just if I had to pick a favorite, the final scene, the Oscar scene with the media jabs going back and forth between the two. I loved seeing that and how
Yeah,
neither of them showed and where Mank won the or Mank Citizen Kane won the original screenplay, which is fucking the coolest award at the Oscars. Come on, let's be serious.
yeah. I actually was kind of surprised to find out that Citizen Kane had only won one Oscar.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Me too.
I've
At least
never,
it got the coolest.
because I even hardly follow like the Oscars nowadays. So
That's perfect. So with our episodes and show moving forward, I thought that we're gonna start um, you know going along with the theme of the film. We're gonna start including the lists. Going into 2021 that goes with each episode we do. But I just wanted to highlight I made back before this even came out. I'm a weirdo and make lists, and with it being COVID, that's going that's gone even further and it's gone even crazier. I have like 60 fucking lists in my notes pad, but I listed my top 10 favorite movies that I've seen that won the best original screenplay. And we don't really, we can touch on them a little bit, but I just wanted to read you through my list of my top 10 movies that has won the Oscar for best original screenplay real quick. Um, that I've at least seen, because really, man, that's like I mean, I guess for the writer, I think it's the coolest award. And if you look back over the years, the coolest movies have won that award. So I have at number 10, Get Out by Jordan Peele, just not even 10 years ago. 9, I have Spotlight, another recent one. 8, Fargo. 7, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. 6, I have Citizen Kane, actually. 5, Sunset Boulevard. 4, Parasite from just last year. 3, Good Will Hunting. 2, Pulp Fiction. And at 1, I have Chinatown. I mean, what a fucking list right there. And it just says something to say about just these films start with a story. And the writing's the most important part of this whole fucking industry. And just this best original screenplay awards the one, man.
so Shape of Water didn't cut it for you.
No, nope. I liked it better when there was the creature of the Black Lagoon.
Yeah,
They just didn't straight up fuck fish in it.
I did. I didn't know that Fargo had won that actually. That was
Yeah.
kind of surprised to see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, rewatching Citizen Kane was I just kind of I enjoyed it a lot, but I don't know. I wasn't really getting where people call it the greatest movie of all time.
Yeah. No, it's up there, but with age comes, people get away from it.
I just don't see how it can
Not
be the best movie of all time when They Live is way better. It wasn't even as good as The Dark Knight, you know.
that is your character on this show, just so you know. What was the Blade Runner one you said? Like, yeah, it was great, but it wasn't Tremors, or it was something even fucking crazier than like Blade Runner. I forget. We're gonna once this picks up, we're gonna have a shirt that just says, "Yeah, but it's not Tremors." Oh man, but to pretty much wrap up, I wanted to talk performances. What do you think, man? What do you think of Gary Oldman?
Man, Gary Oldman is just always so good, and
Yeah,
uh, he typically seems to mostly play like antagonists. So he's obviously able to pull off being like the main guy or the quote unquote good guy of the movie, but because of what he tends to play a lot, he also does a very good job at portraying the flawed parts of him. Uh, his brother, I kind of struggled with because I strictly see that guy as Ward Meacham from Iron Fist.
Yeah, I'm Tom Pelphrey or
Palfrey
something.
or
Yeah,
yeah.
Pelphrey. I haven't seen him before, honestly. I that's one I have written down. I highlighted him. I like the character. I like he was very ambitious, caring for his brother, well being. Like I said, I was very interested to learn SAG was around that long. He just seems to be like a working stiff, playing the game, the system, and actually, Joe Mankiewicz becomes like really successful. He wrote all about Eve, Julius Caesar, and adapted Guys and Dolls for the screen. I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know the existence of Joe Mankiewicz before this movie, but I'm surprised to see that he had quite a career himself. Um, yeah, Gary Oldman was solid. It wasn't one of his quintessentials, I guess, but it was very good. Petrude's loneliness in this movie, which this movie is about loneliness, like a lot of other David Fincher movies. Um, Amanda Seyfried, Marion Davies was really good.
Yeah, I
Um,
liked her role a lot.
yeah,
She,
I thought she was going to be in it a little bit more, but the scenes were, you know, awesome that she was in. So I guess that makes up for any type of time. But people are saying she's the Oscar favorite here already in this
oh wow.
yeah. It's funny on one of the podcasts I listened to said they said who would have thought out of the if you would have bet on the Mean Girls cast it's Amanda Seyfried's the first one to get an Oscar, it would be a surprise. um,
Yeah, no, I'm still pulling for Lindsay Lohan to come back and get that Oscar,
yeah.
baby. It's not looking good.
She needs like Charlize. I think sidebar. I think Rachel McAdams is a solid actor.
I was gonna say I'm kind of surprised she never got one for like The Notebook or Time
She's,
Traveler's
she's
Wife or
definitely been
anything
nominated.
like supporting.
Like I said, Spotlight. When I realized that she was a good actress was fucking that horrendous second season of True Detective. She was the only good part about that whole fucking show.
I
And
have not
I
even
think
seen
Colin Farrell slapped a little kid too. So I guess I'll say that's the other good part
that.
of it. But yeah, she's solid, man. I hope she continues getting good roles and keeps doing it. I for some reason really enjoy her. But yeah, Seyfried, just the lost and uncertainty about the future she had about her, and like her decisions. She was really good. Those solid two scenes with Gary Oldman were great. Like I said, she felt like trapped but not knowing it. Um, we went over if I wrote is making love with her. It's yet it's to be seen, I guess. But with giving her such a basing that part off her and Citizen Kane, obviously that's
Well, and just the
I would
way
say
she's
yes,
portrayed as like a character that, seems like she's supposed to in some way be a love interest in the movie.
definitely.
Like just the way she comes off seems like maybe it's just that I think Amanda Seyfried's really attractive, so I just figured
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I don't know.
I
Uh,
love that she was in. I love that she was in the fucking Twin Peaks reboot.
I
She was
need to
solid
watch
in that.
that.
Uh,
I really liked her
did
in
you do
Ted
the
too.
original? Ted 2, yeah.
No, I
Mamma
haven't.
Mia.
I haven't watched the original either. That's one of those
Dude,
ones that's been on my list on whatever,
we're
like on Hulu,
yeah,
I think, forever.
me and all the guys are like big fucking Twin Peaks freaks. That's one of my top intellectual properties. I'm fucking obsessed. There's no better time than now. I would dive in. It's cheese. It's the old ones feels like an old, soap opera sometimes. Very cheesy, very dated, but it is
Yeah.
fucking incredible. It's one of the best.
One of my
All right.
favorite video games of all time actually has a lot of Twin Peaks influence and references. Alan Wake from Xbox 360. Kind of
Yeah.
like a
There.
Silent
There's
Hill type game.
gotcha. Yeah. There's so much shit is touched by Twin Peaks, man. And once you watch it, you'll see that is so inspirational to so many different people in the industry. by far my favorite David Lynch thing. Back to performances, I highlighted Lily Collins as Rita Alexander. That was his basically his transcriber or whatever you want to call her, the lady that actually wrote the screenplay as he, you know, I guess said it or however they did it. She stood by Mank. She kept him going. It seemed like she called him out on his bullshit.
Yeah,
Did,
she
didn't want him to drink. She deserves a lot of credit in the actual. If this is how it went down, she deserves a lot of credit.
yeah.
Um, yeah. I
Well,
hope
that
she kind of had. I wonder if she had any type of career of any kind. She seemed to have a good head on her shoulders. I hope she did something with herself. She was very smart, and she was overall, the word that comes to mind to me is she was very loyal to him.
yeah, she was loyal, but then she was very loyal, but like you said, she also challenged him throughout the movie. Like she wasn't like just simply like just doing what she's told as his transcriber. She stepped in and made herself a bigger part of the process. Even more
Absolutely,
so through like his. Seems like he had to be kind of corralled into doing things at times, and she was good at that.
definitely. He should have showed up to the Oscars simply to thank her for keeping him on shit. Yeah, we talked about Tom Pelphrey as Joe Mankiewicz. I really liked him. I think you're gonna see him in more shit coming up. You're saying you already know who he was, so that was
He's
cool.
in that
And then
Ozark
just
show apparently. I actually just saw that scrolling
oh
through his
shit, yeah.
IMDb.
Shit, right. I fell off of Ozark after this last season, but he's like that brother that everyone loved. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
That
I haven't seen Ozark, but I mean, so
yeah,
between though Ozark, uh, Iron Fist, and this, clearly Netflix likes him, so he's probably,
yeah, he's
like
on the
you said, gonna be in a
on
lot
the
of
come
stuff.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
And then just
Netflix does kind of reuse a lot of actors, like like
definitely.
recently, like Allison Brie put out a movie plus Glow. Recently, Community got put on Netflix. Her movie Horse
Yeah.
Girl. Like when an actor rolls with them, they do it for a pretty long time.
Right. Glow got canceled, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty upset about it.
Yeah.
Three
Yeah,
seasons
it's
and
a
a
bummer.
movie,
Right. They
but
should do
it's
a
not
movie. That'd be
looking.
cool.
It doesn't sound like it's gonna happen. I
Uh,
looked up the possibility of it the other day, and Allison Brie was saying she doesn't think it'll happen.
all right. Yeah, that was good. That was just like a show. Like nothing else was on. I'll run through it. I watched it all. It was decent.
It
Um,
had like I've described it to people like if you like League of Their Own, you're gonna like Glow.
that's great actually. That's
Yeah.
a great call. And then finally, I just mentioned I wrote down Tom Birch as Orson Welles. I thought he pulled off solid Orson Welles. Like I said, he's loud, intimidating, and scary. And I wish he had a couple more scenes in there, but I get what they were doing. I get that how the story was going. That he was in it the right amount. But he was a solid pick for Orson Welles.
Yeah, there's a good part of the movie where I was pretty convinced that he was Michael Shannon from Boardwalk Empire, the crazy detective guy that whips his own back.
Yeah, it's Michael Shannon, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, this dude was in this like English movie, The Souvenir, last year, where he was just like a emotionally abusive like drug addict. He was pretty good in that. He's like an English actor. I feel like along with Tom Pelphrey, he's probably on the come up as well, and we probably haven't heard the last from Tom Birch.
You know what? I think Tom Palfrey's already a lot bigger than we think because I just looked.
Probably.
He has a run from 2009 to 2016 on Law and Order SVU.
Who doesn't?
I don't know if that means just a recurring role or if he was like a part of the cast. But that
I
is
think he played mul- I think he played multiple rapists and pedophiles.
a. It does just say one name. He was in an episode of The Following. That was a great show.
Pedophile number two.
He really typecasting him in an unflattering way here.
Oh man, yeah, but I'm sure we'll be, in 2 years or whatever, we'll be laughing about this conversation.
Yeah.
Um, so, anyways, final thoughts. This was a film about loneliness, as like I said before, as many of David Fincher's movies are. Um, Someone mentioned it's almost like a Citizen Kane remake, as it is a guy looking back on his life from a bed.
That
As,
was something that I kind of got stuck on throughout the movie that I couldn't tell if I liked or didn't like. But like
yeah,
I got that feeling like he is this is kind of like he's just by portraying all the parts that shaped Citizen Kane in a way kind of remaking Citizen Kane.
right, exactly, and it's very strange and meta in a way. Speaking of meta, I want to talk Oscar chances to wrap this up fully this time. I swear this is the last piece. So Oscar chances for this movie,
I'd say it seems like
performances. Which,
something that boring old white folks are definitely gonna like, so it's got a very good chance.
hey, it's no Green Book, I'll tell you that. I think definitely Best Picture nomination without a doubt.
It could. It's not as
This
good
is
as
such
Kung Fury, but
this is such a fucked up year. It's do this. I barely want to get into this. Absolute Best Picture nominee. Um, for actors, what do you think? I think Oldman, Seyfried, and Tom Pelphrey for sure. Um, I wouldn't be surprised at an outside one like Lily Collins as Rita Alexander. But definitely those three. They're saying Seyfried's going to win. I it's
are you
what
thinking
if
best
what if
male lead, then best male and female supporting?
yeah, yep, definitely. I think that they'll be in those respective categories. I'm not even going to get into the what their competition's going to look like because we're pushed back on the Oscars till April. I think January and February movies are going to be able to qualify. So I'm not even going to get into the who else is going to be there in the dance. Usually I'd be much more on top of this shit, but
Bill Burr from King of Staten Island.
yeah, yeah, right. That's what means. I made that joke to the guys. I said, "What the fuck's this Oscar you're gonna be? Is Pete Davidson gonna win the
The thing
best
is
actor?"
that if it weren't for the fact that I can't see a Judd Apatow movie really doing well at the Oscars, I I, I don't completely think that it's out of the question for that movie to get some recognition. I mean, not like
Not
best movie or anything like that, but
his chance would have been that his best chance would have been what's it called, the Adam Sandler dying one. Seth
Click.
Rogen's his like no,
Oh,
where Seth Rogen's his like protege, and Adam Sandler's like sick and dying. But then the second half of that movie sucked, but the first half was really good. That was his chance at any Oscar. But someday I could see Apatow getting there for sure. He definitely has. He writes heartfelt shit, and obviously it's all comedies, but he has a heart in there. He could make something that could get recognized. I certainly believe one day. I have full belief in Judd Apatow as a filmmaker.
it'd be cool.
This
He's
will
got
be
some
there.
rough breaks, like even with TV, with like Freaks and Geeks getting canceled
Yeah,
and everything. He never has had good luck with the powers
crashing.
that be in the industry.
Yeah. Um, Fincher will be there for director for sure. Costume design, definitely cinematography. I might even call that as a win for sure. If I had to
I'd
guess
agree
two,
with that one. Yeah.
yeah, if I had to guess wins, it would be cinematography and Amanda Seyfried. If I had to put money on any of them taking home anything, and of course, the most extreme, maybe meta thing I could think of in Hollywood, it would be if Mank took home the best original screenplay.
Yeah. Best actor, he's of course gonna have to compete with Vin Diesel in Bloodshot, but yeah.
Oh man, I couldn't imagine.
That would be
Well,
great.
ladies and gentlemen, this has been Mank. Bill, thanks for suffering through. Don't you feel like a little bit more of a cinema auteur after this whole process?
Yeah, yeah. We'll go with that.
Go wipe this off. Go wipe this off and watch Tremors and It Lives. Nice double feature.
It's They Live. Actually,
Ladies and
lately,
gentlemen,
man, it's cheesy. I can't stop watching The Blacklist.
Yeah, I don't get that one. Yeah.
That's
Well,
a good
ladies
one.
and gentlemen, there's your new co-host of Exit Music for a Film. We're gonna come back in about a week and a half or so with our top 5 movies of this fucked up year of 2020. Phil, we'll
Yeah.
see you then,
All right, bud.
guys. I can't tell you to keep going to the movies, but I guess keep streaming movies, keep watching movies. Any way you can get the content, keep taking part, keep watching movies. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Take care.